Hi everyone, Tyler here with Smoking for Pennies, and today I will be discussing the Roughstack. This is a new mod that we have at Smoking for Pennies. It's made out of a high quality aircraft aluminum. It's machined into a tube shape and it's very solid, it's very strong, it's going to last you forever. It has a nice 3-amp switch here on the top. It's got a 510 connector right here. It has the ability to double stack batteries, so meaning you can put 2 batteries in here and you'll get much higher voltage, up to about 7.4 volts if you use 3.7 standard batteries. It comes in about 10 different colors. It's a very nice mod, very solid mod, and in this video I'm going to be showing you a little bit on dual stacking, how to use a tank on it, and just a few other little tips and tricks about the Roughstack. Alright, the first thing I would like to discuss is vaping this at a standard 3.7 volts, which most users will do. This is done using an 18650 battery. This is an 18650 3000 milliamp per hour battery. We sell at Smoke for Pennies. This battery will last you, most users, at least a day. It lasts me from 2 to 3 days, and it's just a monster of a battery. It's a great battery. But anyway, you're going to want to fully charge this battery and take your Roughstack, unscrew the top of it, and then we're left with just a bottom piece here. There's a little spring down on the bottom here. This is just a hollow tube. We're going to take the battery and take the negative end, and it's actually labeled on the battery, negative and positive. We're going to take the negative end and put it into the mod. Just drop it straight in. And you see it sticks out on the top, but there is a spring in there, so it can go in. Then you're going to take the top of your Roughstack, this little part with a switch, put it on top, push down, and screw it together. You want to screw this all the way in, so there's no gap right here. Screw it all the way in. Now our battery's in. And then we're going to take cartomizer or atomizer. I recommend low resistance up to about 2 ohms, maybe 2.5 ohms, but anywhere between 1.5 to 2.5 ohms. Cartomizer or atomizer. This is a 3.5 mil tank, dual coil tank we sell at Smoking for Pennies, and just screw it on top here. One thing to remember when you're using the Roughstack or any mod of any type is you want to screw it in just until you feel resistance. Alright, I'm screwing this in, and right when I feel it stop, I'm stopping and give it another quarter turn. That's it. Don't crank it all the way down. Don't crank it until it stops, because that's going to cause electrical contact issues here in the future. So just turn it right until it stops, and then another quarter turn, and you're set. And that's a fully assembled Roughstack at normal vaping voltage, 3.7 volts. As you can see, it puts off quite a bit of vapor. It's a very nice mod. Next thing I'd like to talk about is double stacking the batteries. When you're double stacking batteries, it's going to increase the voltage quite a bit. If you're using 2 18350 batteries, you're going to get a total of 7.4 volts. 18350 batteries are this size. You're going to need 2 of them, hence the name Roughstack. You're going to stack these batteries on top of each other inside of our tube. Basically, it's the same way as an 18650 battery. You're going to take one battery, negative end down, drop it in. Take your next battery, negative end down, drop it in. Push it down, screw it on, screw it all the way down. And we're going to take a high resistance cartomizer or atomizer. This is very important that it's high resistance, at least 3 ohms and up. If you put anything lower resistance on here, it's going to either break the coils inside or burn your liquid, and it's going to be an unpleasant experience. You don't want that. So we're going to take a high resistance cartomizer, screw it on here the same as vaping standard voltage, and away we go. Now when vaping at high voltage, you're going to get a little bit more of a throat hit, a little more taste. I suggest play around with your configurations. We also have, I believe it is a 16340 battery, which when dual stacked, it'll give you a total of 6 volts, whereas these 2 batteries I have in here will give me a total of 7.4 volts. It's really up to the user. I'd play around with the configurations, like I said, until you find the vape that you like best. Alright, another thing I would like to discuss when using your Roughstack is using them with dual coil tank systems. Now we have at Smoke for Pennies, we have a 3.5 mil tank system, and we have a 5 mil tank system. The 3.5 mil tank system will need 1 adapter and 1 spacer. Now the 5 mil tank will need 2 adapters and 2 spacers. And the reason for this is because with the tank, you can't just take this and screw it onto here, because the switch is in the way. You can't just screw it on. It'll push the switch down. But that's not really that big of a problem, because we do have adapters here. And these are standard 510 to 510 adapters. First I'm going to start with the 3.5 mil. You're going to need 1 and 1. So I'm going to take this adapter here, take my Roughstack, and screw this on first. Screw it right into the 510 connection, just until it stops, and then maybe a hint more. And take one of these spacers, and let's see, I can drop it right in here. You'll see on top there, it's dropped right in there. What that's doing is making the electrical contact right there between the cartomizer and this adapter a little better. You know, it's making it more solid. Once that spacer's in there, I'm just going to take my 3.5 mil tank and screw it on. And as you can see now, the switch is no longer covered up, and it's firing. Okay, now with the 5 mil tank, you're going to need 2 adapters and 2 spacers. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep this one in that I got in here. Oh, let me straighten that up. Keep that one in that we got there. Take another adapter, 510 to 510 adapter, screw it onto here, just until it stops, and then just a quarter turn more. Don't crank these things down or you will have issues in the future. And then take your spacer, drop it right in there, make sure it's flat, just like that. We're going to take our 5 mil tank and screw it on. Now I can't stress enough not to crank these things down as hard as you can. If you crank them down, you're going to have issues, because it kind of messes up the electrical contact in here. So you see how there's a space right here in between all of these spacers? That's a good thing. You want a little bit of space in between here. Now the last thing I would like to discuss is this center pin on the 510 connector right here. If you see inside of there, there's the pin that makes the positive contact to the cartomizer or atomizer. That piece of metal inside of the 510 adapter or connector right there. Sometimes this gets pushed down all the way if your cartomizer or atomizer has been tightened on here too hard. It gets pushed down, and your atomizer or cartomizer may not fire if it gets pushed down all the way. You're not making very electrical contact. So if this does happen, one thing to do is to take either a paper clip or a flathead screwdriver, just a real small one, and pry this connector up. Now you see in here, I'm just going to stick it in here and kind of pry along the sides. I'm prying this up. From all sides. Just kind of give it a little nudge on all sides of this. But make sure when you're doing this, don't press this button. Just pry it up just a little bit, and your atomizer or cartomizer should work on there just fine. This concludes the Roughstack video. Hope you enjoyed watching.